Welcome to Hops News, the trusted source in beer culture news. Here's your host, Jay Brew.
Good stuff and talk about what I'm drinking. I don't just have a Guinness, I have a nitro cold brew coffee Guinness. And it's only 4% and it is phenomenal. And you still have that beautiful nitro head right there. Just gorgeous. And this thing smells like a delicious, amazing cold brew. So that's what I'm sipping on. So we're going to go quick over to Matt, who does not have a festive beer, but has a fantastic beer. So I should preface this. Matt and Jay are a little upset tonight about sports, but I'm just going to keep drinking my Guinness, and we're going to have some fun. And we got a great guest tonight who's going to talk to us about the actual Guinness brewery, and I'm going to throw in some Guinness fun facts, and we're going to have fun. All right, Matt, what are you drinking?
Tears. Sadness.
Salty. So a Gosa?
I am. So, Devontae Adams has been traded. There it is, everybody. If you're a football fan, I don't know why you like sports, but yay, I guess me. My parents didn't love me enough, so I turned to sports. But I'll tell you something I do love. It's a good beer. And Disney World. And I kind of get the best of both worlds tonight. Because from Erica, St Craft Brewing Company, I'm drinking Annual Pass Holder, a Berliner Weiss with pineapple and vanilla. It's the Dole Whip. It is, if you've ever been, so the first time I ever had Dole Whip was in Hawaii at the actual little Dole facility. You can get like ice cream. It's wicked good. Like, my God, I just mouthed that. I drove there like 3 times a week while I was in Hawaii, and because I was there for a little bit for work, and man, I just mouthed it. It's delicious, and the beer got a really good color to it. And just sitting the beer down, you can smell the pineapple, the vanilla. It smells just kind of like ice cream, you know. So it's amazing, really, really good. Erica sent this, or she didn't send this. You sent it to me through Erica, so thank you for that. But yeah, it's a tart Berliner Weiss with pineapple and vanilla. It's inspired by the magical treat that will make you think that you are at that famous theme park. And I wish I was. It's from St. Petersburg, Florida, which is where Descent Craft Brewery is. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm drinking. Got to go out today. Went to Mother Earth Brewing Company here in Boise for the first time. They had a tap room in Nampa. That was kind of like their big thing. They just moved from California, set up shop in Boise. And so I haven't been to their latest tap room that they just opened up in downtown. And so while I was running around today getting ready for Texas, I stopped in there, had a pint, and it's a wicked nice tap room. So if you're ever in the Boise area and you get to go there, please, by all means, stop in there. It's a really great spot downtown, really close to a lot of local craft breweries. It's kind of near Boise Brewing, Lost Grove Brewing, that kind of stuff. And yeah, we got a couple of Boise friends up in here tonight because our guest is actually located. He's not far from me. One day we're gonna do like a live podcast from a brewery together, hopefully. But he's came and he hung out when Donut Geek released, and kind of met him through doing the podcast. So Denny is with us, and I'll let him introduce himself and talk about his podcast that he has as well.
All right. Am I on?
Jay,
I
switch
see
the
my-
feed.
Yeah, you are now for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'm Denny. I'm here in Boise. I have met Matt. He's a super nice guy. He's a little bit taller than me, but we're both tall guys. I'm a little bit older than Matt, though. That's okay. We've got a lot of experience. But I'm drinking a local beer, not too far from where Matt was today at Mother Earth. This is from White Dog Brewing. I'll just kind of show it.
Yeah, that's a good brewery, man.
And we've had them on.
Yeah.
They're a past guest.
We have, yes.
So
Dan is amazing. I've poured beer for them a few times, actually, at festivals.
Yeah, they're great. I loved it when they moved into the Boise area and they brought some really strong beers from a wide variety of styles as well. And I mean, I love a brewery that can brew a good IPA, a good Irish stout, a good red ale, even go into the Belgian side and really good lagers as well. And they do everything. They have a beer called River Ale. I don't know if you've had that one, Matt.
Oh, yeah, I have. I've tried all their beers.
Yeah, it's an easy drinking beer you can just take on the river and enjoy while you're sitting there laying back, relaxing. Just grab that beer, chug it down, and really have an enjoyable experience without getting too blitzed as well. But yeah, this Irish stout, I was going to do Guinness because I knew that we were going to be focusing around the Guinness. But you know what? Everyone does Guinness, and why not do a local Irish styled beer that I really enjoy? And this is a fantastic beer.
So you're better than me. See, you thought ahead. I didn't. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Okay. You thought ahead. Irish. I didn't think about their Irish stout. That's a really, really good point. And they have a really fun tap room as well. They do a lot of cool events at White Dog. They do like a cornhole league. They do a lot of stuff, and they have wicked good food there. Oh my God. Like their Kobe, their elk and Kobe burger. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I was
just
upset.
Gonna ignore this amazing background.
Oh, my background. I've been a craft beer connoisseur, enthusiast for many, many years. And back when 22-ounce bottles were a thing, I would collect special bottles. And so I've gone through about 3,000 bottles over the last 20 years.
So is this a real background?
Yeah, those are real bottles.
See,
Those
Jay
are
comes in
shells.
with like a fake background that looks real. Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, those are all real. And the top shelf, right? I'm backwards here, right there, whatever. There. Okay. That's Grand Teton Brewing. You're familiar with Grand Teton out of Victor.
Oh yeah, I'm
assuming.
gonna go and pay them a visit when I go out to the Tetons this May.
Yeah, the fantastic brewery. And they used to release all these anniversary ales in these big 25-ounce champagne bottles. And when they first released them, and they're not up on the wall there, they're here in this wall on this side, but they had those flip-top bottles with the rubber stoppers. And they were releasing these big, giant bottles with their beer. And they're fantastic. And they were wax sealed. So getting the wax out of that flip-top was impossible. But yeah, so they started releasing these special anniversary beers in those, and I got I was picking up every one of them. And then they realized that was too expensive, and so they started putting them in 25-ounce bottles. That was too expensive, and they went to the 22-ounce bottle. And so I have a good collection. The collection you see behind me is what's left of. This is the second set of shelves I've had. I had wider shelves that held more bottles, but the weight overcame the wall anchors, and the wall anchors pulled out of the wall, and down came all of and it just kind of took everything down. I had a room full of broken glass, and the bottles that really hurt my feelings was the Grand Teton. Those are my prized possessions. Those and the some of Lagunitas Frank Zappa collection that they did. I
Okay.
have those. Those are the special ones that I
Yeah.
do. But over the years, I've kind of got rid of bottles because new beers would come and take their place, and I base it off enjoyment, rarity, and the artwork. And so, if a brewery comes with artwork that is top notch, I might replace one that had a closeness to my heart to put that artwork on the wall. And
Well,
just something that Matt, actually, Crooked Fence, right? That
I do.
is
I'm so
going
sad.
out.
Their last days on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going out of business. But the one thing that they had from the beginning was like fantastic artwork. So I have their original 22-ounce bottle artwork behind me as well. So I just keep those because I think they do some really good artwork.
nice.
Nice. It is. It is a thing of beauty, man. That is a nice room, man. Is that
You're just gonna
man?
stare at
It's
this
just
for the
I
next
could
40
stare at
minutes.
that. That's just gorgeous. I wish I could do something like because the lighting even behind it. That is the mood.
Yeah, I put it up because we started. So in case no one, I guess we didn't really talk about, it, but I also do a craft beer podcast. I do a craft beer
Yes.
podcast
Plug away.
focused only on craft beer. And what I like is I love that you guys do a geek podcast that talks about beer and news and geek stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
able to learn about all the geekiness that I need to keep up with my wife because she's the comic book, expert. And every time we watch a movie, she's
Sounds like
schooling me.
sounds like future guest material for the geeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So what I like about your show is you guys are great at introducing people to craft beer and giving them a little bit of knowledge. And what I can provide is some more deeper look into some of these things that they might be learning when you guys talk about different styles and beers and things, because we focus strictly on bringing education to people. When we started the podcast 8 years ago, in fact, this next week we'll be doing our 200th episode. I do it every 2 weeks,
Wow, that's awesome.
and we back then, even 8 years ago, craft beer wasn't as big as it is now, right? People
Yeah.
still were not comfortable going to a pub or a beer bar and
Yeah.
seeing all the styles and stuff. And there was so many times that I'd be ordering a beer and I'd see someone confused, and the bartender or beer tender didn't have time to take their questions, serious. And I was take them aside and help them find out the styles they want or whatever, and help them get a beer. And I thought, there's more people like that out there. Why not do a podcast? It's approachable for people that are never had craft beer or are new to craft beer or even experienced ones. We just bring an approachable manner of teaching people about the hobby and hoping that they can enjoy get into the hobby. And what I talk about a lot is your craft beer journey. And the craft beer journey is from your very beginning when you first experienced it and how it grows and changes over years. Jay and I have been drinking for a long time. So our craft beer journey is, started back in the late 80s. At least mine has. I don't want to speak for you, Jay. I don't know exactly how old you are, but I know you're you started a while ago, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. It's the beer industry is definitely fun, and as you said, it's definitely changed in the demographic because it's kind of ironic that you talk about that journey, because I just had a conversation with a young lady today about craft brewers and making sure that they're approachable, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to be successful, I worked in the beer industry. I'm back in it again, worked in it several years ago. And one of the pitches for our brand was we make beer that's approachable. Like you're not, not everybody's going to like the IPAs, but there's a couple of brands and styles that you're going to be able to relate to no matter what beer you drink. So, and I said that to a young lady today, if you're a brewery that's looking to grow, and especially in these tough times, you've got to have some brands that are approachable. And I get it. Like you said, there's a lot of craft breweries out there that are, kind of the hype breweries that craft beer drinkers really enjoy, that aren't so approachable. But I think there's a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
So
I
how
didn't
did
mean
you
to take. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask how you got into it so early,
Hey.
because so many other people got into it as a trend. So I mean, saying that you've been into craft beer since the '80s, I mean, we're talking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Like, tell us your origin story, or were you just born
Yeah.
Okay.
drinking craft beer?
No. I have an origin story. It's funny because the topic for our 200th episode is going to be Chris and I talking about our what we would call our Mount Rushmore of craft beer. And I'm not just talking about your four favorite beers. I'm talking about coming up with beers that kind of define the same thing that the presidents define as a four there, right? You had the birth of the country, you have the growth of the country, you have the development of the country, and you have preservation of the country. So we're going to talk about four beers that kind of define us in our craft beer journey in those categories. So my origin, which is you mentioned that, so I had to go ahead and mention
Mm-hmm.
that little thing. But my origin started, uh, beer itself. I've been drinking beer since I was young. I had family that would share beer, and I enjoyed beer, but it was, most of it was just domestic lagers that was available. And what I discovered is I'm from Oregon, and in Oregon there were some breweries that were early on in the 70s and 80s that were out there, and so I was first exposed to beer that tasted good by drinking Henry Weinhardt's beer. Now, people would say, "Well, that's not good beer now," but no, now it's not. But back then, that was beer that had flavor. And then I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, I enjoyed that," but it was more expensive and wasn't as available. So, but my origin for craft beer really started when I was in the Navy. I was stationed up at Washington State at the sub base there, and right outside of the sub base was a brewery called Thomas Kemper Brewing. And Thomas Kemper Brewing was uh, was a brewery that one of the first ones in Washington, and they were crafting German beers, lagers mostly.
Ooh.
And
Mm.
we went, off base. We went into the brewery, and what we fell in love with was the beer was so flavorful, and it was very good, and and the environment, the community that was being provided by the brewery and the people that were coming there. We just fell in love with the atmosphere and the beer. And so that was my origin story of how I said, oh, you know what? There is a really good beer, and I need to pursue it. The problem is that really good beer was a lot more expensive, especially back then. I think the
Mm.
prices have kind of come more even currently. They're not as different, but back in the late '80s, early '90s, the craft beer that you drink was a lot more expensive. At least twice, if not more than twice,
Oh yeah.
what you'd pay for a regular beer. So I couldn't drink a lot of it. So I was very picky. I would drink the Henry Weinhard's, and then I would drink craft beer when I felt I could afford it. Now, back in the early '90s, military pay was not very good. I was literally getting food stamps. We were on WIC. We were a pretty poverty level. So it was really a treat for me to get out there and get the craft beer. But it did open my eyes to it. And then once I got out of the Navy, about mid '90s, then I moved back to Oregon. I moved to Eugene, Oregon, and Eugene was sprouting up a lot of craft breweries in the area. And then of course they had Bend that was bringing beer in, and
Yeah.
that's when I really, I'd had some Deschutes brewery beers when I was up, the Blackbeet Porter when I was up in Washington. But when I came
Yeah.
back down to Oregon, I was exposed to everything that they had, and we'd go to Bend and we'd drink it, and so I fell in love with Deschutes brewery,
I love
and
fresh
then I started
squeeze.
drinking other styles, right? And then so that's when I started to grow, and then I'll stop there because I don't. If you want to listen to the episode 200, you'll find out more of the in between how I
Ooh,
got
I like it.
got through it. But that's kind of my origin story.
You're getting no more out of me.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to hear everybody's origin stories and how they get started for sure, Denny, and definitely appreciate you joining us tonight. And I'm envious of your room for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can tell you've done some. Do you do any live streaming or just typically podcasting?
So we have started live streaming last year during COVID. Well, actually, maybe it might be even 2 years now, because COVID hit and um, everyone was kind of going to Zoom and these conferencing things. And so my partner, he for his business, he had a Zoom account because he needed to talk to people. So we decided to go ahead and utilize that, and just while we're recording anyway, just go ahead and live. So we started Facebook, and we've been doing that for about 2 years, and we love it because it allows the people who listen to us on Facebook to go ahead and comment, and we can then answer those questions and respond to it, live. So we call them a live show, but it's through the text messaging. But then just a couple shows ago, I finally figured out how to get it on to Twitter. It's a little janky. I'm using OBS, so taking the Zoom and then going through that and then shooting it over. I had asked Matt if what you guys use, and I looked into this, and I'm like, yeah, I can't afford that. I need to go with something a little bit cheaper. And so we just started doing Twitter. But you guys are definitely very professional. We just go live, and then whatever I'm saying before we start the show is in the air. I thought I could edit it out and cut it, from the feed, but you can't. You can only cut small segments. So I need to get better like you and have a screen that counts down. That'd be good.
Yeah.
You should see what happens before we hit live and what happens after we hit live, though. That's what you don't see.
Well, fortunately, Denny was able to see some of it. He probably caught some of the colorful words and everything else going on in the background.
Yeah, I just put my headphones in and heard.
Well, I was about to go live with another podcast too before this, right as soon as I got the news about Devontae Adams, and I was just like, Jay. But so hold on though. We've talked about the pod. Sorry, Lauren, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
Well, I was just going to say before we go in. Oh yeah, that's right. It's my show. Batman vs Superman is a terrible movie. Because we brought you on because you've been to Ireland and you've been to the Guinness Brewery, and we want to hear about that. But I was thinking maybe I'll drop some fun facts about the holiday and Guinness, and then we'll take it over to you, and you can give us a little description of from a craft beer nerd's perspective of the Guinness Brewery. So
okay,
there I was going to. Great, Jay. Every time you take it, I want to be like, now going back to this. Okay. So here are some fun facts about St. Patrick's Day and Guinness. So some of this is actually from my article last year, which you can find on our website, and it has all of the references. And some of it is actually from a recent Zoom I got to attend with Girls Pine Out, where a Guinness Brewery ambassador did an awesome presentation for us. And I used a few other articles and found some random stuff. So Guinness did not actually begin with stouts, as the style hadn't even happened yet, and that's a whole other beer school, which we've actually talked about a little bit when we talked about porters. And so if you want all of that, feel free to go to our website. I've put in so much work recently on that website, so I'm just going to keep directing everybody to that damn website, hopsnews.com.
No, when I put an episode out, I put the website just because you've been putting in some killer work. And we do a lot of dope stuff on that website. You got a lot of good Disney stuff. Yeah.
It's finally coming
together.
Plug
that away.
But Guinness is practically synonymous, though, for dry Irish stout because they have perfected it. So the Guinness Book of World Records actually comes from the brewery. It was created to settle bar arguments. We wear green on St. Patrick's Day because leprechauns pinch, and if you're wearing green, they can't see you because they can't see green. The ball inside of the widget can, so you hear the...
Yeah.
This is my kids that wanted to cut open the can to see the ball. So this is the little ball here. Kind of looks like a beer pong ball or a ping pong ball with holes in it. And what it does is it's called a widget. And during the canning process, brewers add pressurized nitrogen to the beer, which trickles into the hole along with a little bit of beer. And then the entire can is pressurized. And when you open the can, the pressure inside the can drops to equalize the pressure in the room. Since the pressure inside the widget is still much higher than the pressure in the beer, the nitrogenated beer from inside the widget squirts into the beer, providing a burst of tiny bubbles of nitrogen gas that rise to the top of the beer and give it that thick, creamy head you get straight from the tap. It really is crazy that drinking this from the can...
Who doesn't love creamy head?
Yeah, okay.
She's like, I know.
So pouring a Guinness is actually a 6-step art form that involves a 1 minute, 59.5 second break. And I've actually told this story before on the podcast when I was getting a beer at Epcot, and I ordered a Guinness. Some guy orders a Stella. He gets a Stella, and then I was chit-chatting with him, and he's like, "Geez, I hope you get your Guinness eventually." And I'm like, "I understand what's happening. I know what's going on. You got to let the beer settle, and then you got to pour it a little more, and I mean, you got to perfect it." Nigeria actually has more Guinness drinkers than Ireland. This one's kind of gross. So there's more than 160,000 pints of Guinness lost to facial hair each year. And I feel like Guinness is like really dropping the ball or dropping the widget on an ad that's like got Guinness I mean, they'd probably get sued by milk, but I mean, that just seems so perfect. So extra foreign stout, and this is when I came back from Jamaica. This was the only Guinness we could find was the extra foreign stout, and it's like 7% ABV, whereas Guinness is usually like 4. And I didn't know why that was what they had. So that actually comes from the same story as the IPA. They added extra hops to it originally to ship it abroad. So that's why it is more hoppy and higher ABV. The yeast in Guinness is only used for Guinness, so Guinness does not share their yeast. The founder of Guinness was Arthur Guinness. I should have said every time I say Guinness, take a sip. He opened the brewery in 1759, and if you go there today and order an Uncle Arthur, you'll get a perfectly poured glass of Guinness. Arthur Guinness signed a 9,000-year-old lease, but eventually Guinness just bought the property, so it really didn't matter. St. Patrick himself was actually British, not Irish, and on March 17th, it is believed to be the anniversary of the day that he died, which is kind of interesting that they celebrate on his death. Now, why do we get drunk on St. Patrick's Day? Well, it used to be your break from Lent, and when you're having a cheat day, I've said this before, you don't eat a cheeseburger. I mean, you don't eat a salad, you eat a cheeseburger, so that is why you drink all the beers, because it is your cheat day. So if you want more St. Patty's Day origin, go to the hopsnews.beer. And there's also a great article by Brewitch. She wrote something all about Guinness and the nitro, and I posted that on our website today, or I posted that on our Facebook page today, and it is also on our website. So that's what I got. There's your fun facts. Cheers and slanche.
Wait, she posted a new article? Like she just wrote that?
No,
for
she
us?
posted it like last year, but I reshared it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we will be getting new articles from her. I talked to her recently, and so she sounded interested in starting to produce some content again.
Awesome.
So that'd be fun.
As always, Lauren is on top of beer facts and beer school. 100%.
So now
true.
we're going to get the
It is true.
actual direct point of view, the actual person who was there. So let's take it back to our guest, Denny, and he can tell us all about having an actual Guinness in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I got to preface the story. So we went to Ireland and we got lucky. We really did get lucky. We went for our 30th anniversary, my wedding anniversary, my wife and I. We went on the end of June, beginning of July of 2019, right before the whole Corona. So if we would have planned this any later than that, we would have probably missed it.
Oof.
Oh wow.
And the reason that we chose the last 2 weeks in June and the first two, this is, if you're going to visit Ireland, I'm giving you some good facts to use here. This because you want to visit Ireland because it's a beautiful country. And I'll tell you that I wasn't really looking forward to going because I thought the only thing they're going to offer me is a lot of rain and some Guinness. And I can get Guinness here. And I wasn't too thrilled, but I was doing it for the wife. And it was a 2-week trip too. That's a long time to be away from home. But go to the last 2 weeks of June, first 2 weeks of July, because that's the best weather as far as lack of rain. And my wife was right because the only day we had rain for the whole 2 weeks that we were there was the first day we arrived in Dublin, and it rained. When it rained, it didn't just drizzle; it poured down rain. So we're walking outside, doing Temple Street and going everywhere, and we're just getting soaked. But it was still fun. And then the next day we went was the trip to the brewery. I said the only thing I want to do in Dublin is to go to the Guinness brewery. I want to do the tour, and they have different tiers of the tour you can do. It's called the Guinness Storehouse, and I've got the shirt here. This is the only thing I brought back from me from Ireland is this Guinness jersey shirt here, but it's called Open Gate Storeroom, and it's the old brick warehouses where the brewing was going on, and they kind of were retired, and they turned it into a museum and a self-guided tour. So you pay to get in, and when you pay, you can go just a self-guided tour, and during that you have a bunch of sessions you can do to see things happen, pour your own beer, learn how to pour your own beer, and pour your own Guinness. And it's really good. It takes. We were there for 4 hours walking through this tour, and we loved it. Even self-guided, the way that they did it was so educational that you can learn the entire history of craft or of beer in Ireland and Guinness of how they, like Lauren already gave you some of the facts. Well, guess what? There's a lot of facts that you can learn on this brewery tour. They talk about the temperature, how critical the temperature of the brewing is for to brew the stout, the water, the grains, the malt, the malts and the hops and everything that they use. You get to walk through and see all the old, vertical tanks that they had that were made of oak or of wood. And it's a 4-story tour. So you start in the bottom and you work your way up to the top is where the tavern is. And as you get to the tavern, there's two places. There's a tavern where you go and you do the beer serving, and they're pretty quick. You go and you there's 4 or 5 bars, and they have about 8 people per bar, and they go through the whole spiel about how to pour the perfect pint of Guinness. And he shows you, and I videotaped it, and I thought I had a video. I might have a video put up on our Facebook page. I thought it was on our YouTube channel, but I couldn't find it because I was going to point that guys out to you. But it goes through the whole spiel of how to do it, and it's very entertaining as well. And then they have you come and pour your own. And so my wife and I, yeah, it was really fun. I was a little bit nervous because I wanted to do it right, and I did a perfect pour, which was great. And so you get to pour your own pint, and then you get to go drink it, and you go drink it out on this glass overlook that overlooks the city, which is beautiful. So as you're out here enjoying your beer, you can just watch over the entire old buildings and cathedrals and everything that's out there in Dublin, in that area, and a really good experience. So that's the basic tour, and you can stay as long as you want, and you can come back. You can get a tag, and if you want to go out and come back, you can come back that same day. There's a higher level of tour that you do the same thing, but there's also when it comes time to like sample some beers, they have someone come with you, and you go to a special room and you can sample a bunch of their beers, and you get even more in-depth personal attention and like a personal concierge type treatment. That's a little bit more expensive. I think that's like $100 per person. But it's well worth it, and we wanted to do that, but they only do it like the times that they had scheduled to do it, we just couldn't make it. We had other plans, and we just couldn't stay at that time to do that. But if we go back again, which we'll go back again. We're going to do that upgraded tour and get even more like a private tasting session of all their different beers and stuff. And like Lauren mentioned, the Guinness is like the Guinness, regular Guinness Irish Stout is just one, like the most famous one we know, but there's a whole bunch of different varieties of stouts and lagers and ales. I mean, they make a bunch of different beers. And if you go to Ireland, you'll see most of those are on tap. But what I didn't expect, now we're going to step away from Guinness just a hair. The craft beer scene is pretty big in Ireland. Every town.
Is it really?
Yes. And the beer is really good. And I was really caught off guard because I thought all I'd be drinking the whole 2 weeks I was there was Guinness products. And I don't mind Guinness, but I didn't want to just drink the whole time. But I found that every little small town we went to had its own brewery, and we would go and visit, and we had a great time.
Did they all have a dry Irish stout?
No. They all had a variety. They had. What was awesome is they had a variety, and one of the breweries that I fell in love with is called Yellow Belly Brewing. I think
I like
Yellow
that name.
Belly Brewing.
Yeah, that's a cute name.
They made some of the best, like juicy, hazy IPAs that I've had, and I was just blown away. And then they'd make some really good imperial stouts, and not these pastry ones that are all full of lactose and stuff. These were like real Russian imperial stouts. And they were just like fantastic. So you go from that lighter Guinness stout, Irish dry stout, to Russian imperial stout, and it's a totally different experience. And the beers were fantastic, and that's how it was at the whole everywhere we went. And we didn't do a tour thing, right? We booked the flights and we booked the spots and we got a car, and I drove to every single spot that we stayed at. And we did that because I wanted to experience Ireland for, you know, for what it is, right? I wanted to go to my own route. I wanted to go the back roads. I got this tour book that was the best way to experience Ireland by going back roads. And I can't tell you how right they are, because when you're driving on these small little roads out in the middle of nowhere, you get to see all the country and how different that
I'm
country is from north,
yeah.
west, south, central, and east. They're all different environments that are all beautiful in their own way. And it's just amazing that small island has so much beauty in it. And so I told you I wasn't looking forward to going. I was doing it for my wife. And when I left, I was so amazed at the experience that I just wanted to move there right away, like go retire in Ireland. It was
Until
so
you experience your first winter.
until I experienced my first winter. You're right. Is there
That's
any
amazing.
questions?
So the locals that work at like the breweries, do they ever get irritated that they're known for Guinness and that's it?
No, no.
They embrace it, they love it.
Uh, they are all about. They're just like craft brewers here. They were all excited to share the beer and talk about the beer they're creating and get our feedback. And when I would provide feedback to them, saying, "Wow, I really like what you did with this, Scottish ale or lager or whatever," I said, "What I talked to them about what they did, and they would just light up. Right? They were excited that people were enjoying their craft. Um, Maybe because I'm who I am, maybe I got a different experience from them. Maybe they are tired of people just wanting to go to, but people weren't going to go to a brewery and order, a Guinness or a Harp or a
Right.
Smittix or anything, right?
But it's my thing is like when
So
I
is Guinness?
travel, which is to say like Orlando's not known for good beer, but we have great beer. So I
Hmm.
feel like if I was a craft brewer in Ireland, I'd be like, yeah, Guinness is great. Mickey Mouse is fantastic. But we also have this that a lot of people aren't aware of.
Hmm.
I mean, Guinness is a household name internationally. And like I really didn't know they had a great craft beer
Right.
scene. Right, Matt, what were you gonna say?
Well, that was gonna be my next question. Was do they feel is Guinness kind of just like that Disney World where like to the locals it's yeah whatever, we might go there once a year or whatever, whereas we're gonna experience the beer scene. We got a lot of great local spots, and Guinness is just like, oh yeah, it's the tourist spot.
No, but everyone drinks Guinness,
Oh,
even the locals. Uh, I mean, we went to a lot of. We wanted to experience that small pub, like small Irish pub thing, and so we would go to the small Irish pub to close out the night. Right, we would go do some stuff, and then there's always we find the last pub that would stay open the latest, and they don't stay open till 2, 3 in the morning like we do here. They would close at midnight. 12. That was like the latest they would stay open. So we would go find that last place. All of them always have some kind of little music thing or dance thing going on. We'd sit there and we would just soak in all the experience from the locals, and that come out and enjoy it. Right? These are all Irish people that are out here, not tourists. Because
Hmm.
again, we were staying in areas that weren't the heavy populated spots, and it was just fun. And that's what I wanted to say is everyone says that Guinness tastes better in Ireland, and is it because you're in Ireland and you're happy? Is that why it tastes better, or does it really
probably.
taste better? And so I made a point that every single spot that we stopped at, I would have at least one Guinness stout to see if indeed the beer tastes better or if it's just how I'm feeling at the time. And there was one spot we stayed at that I wasn't happy with. And you know what? The beer still tasted fantastic. Guinness does taste better in Ireland. And I don't know if it's because it is, I mean, they can try to mimic the water and the grains that they're getting and everything,
Hmm.
but there's something about the brewing, whether it's fresh or whatever it is, that it does indeed, to me, taste better. Every spot I had it tasted fantastic.
I would love to do like a lineup, right?
Oh yeah.
And just have six pours. You don't know where they came from. Unfortunately, we can't because being in America and stuff. But like you have six pours of Guinness, and you have to try to decide which one is the one that is from Ireland. That would be pretty cool to see really see.
That would
But
be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
looking
So
at the
that
looking at the picture up on the screen, yeah.
yeah, the top of that's the tavern, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and
That's unbelievable.
yeah, and it's great. You have a really nice view up there, and even when it's a little bit overcast, we got lucky and it was a nice day, so we could see, and the city sprawls out quite a bit. This is at the one corner of the city, and it's overlooking the vastness of the city, and it's just beautiful. And I wasn't up there at night, but I bet at night it's even
Oh,
better because that city lights up in the evening. It really does.
and I think we have another picture of the view too.
I'm working on
Might
that one.
take our. Okay.
But yeah,
So
It is.
no, go ahead. I was just going to ask you if there's anything more you wanted to add that was
No.
amazing on this Ireland trip.
uh, the greatest thing that I have to say about Ireland are the people. And like you mentioned, do you think, you ask, well, do you think they get tired of the tourists? I would think that they would hate all the tourism that goes on there, right? And that they would, every time they see an American or an American would ask them a question, they would just turn around and snub their nose at you, right? Never. We walk, for one thing, we stayed downtown in every little town we stayed at. We wanted to be right in the center of it so we could walk everywhere. And we would go and we'd see people walking to work, and then we'd ask, hey, do you have you recommend a little cafe or a coffee house that's really good around here? And they would tell us exactly where to go and what the name and how to get to a little cafe, or if we wanted to find the brewery, how to get to the brewery. They never once, you know, made any kind of attempt to like blow us off or let us know that they were not happy with us bothering them. They would stop what they're doing and go out of their way to help. And that was in every town except for Cork. Cork was the one place that wasn't as friendly. It's more of the hipster area, the industrial area. That's the one town I really didn't like, was Cork. But everywhere else was so friendly and welcoming, and that shocked me because I don't, here in America, you know, in small towns we try to do that, and I came from a small town, and that I had that small town mentality. That's why I enjoy talking to people. I'm very, as you can tell, I'm not shy to
Yeah.
talk. I can talk, and it was just nice to see that same type of behavior, even with all the tourism, is still very much alive there, and the people are so friendly.
Nice. Yeah, our friend
Huh.
Tracy in the chat
That is
actually.
always nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was her last picture, and she just said she agrees the locals were chatty and friendly.
Hmm. Yeah.
I cut off Matt.
I
I
love
was
that
waiting
because
for
you're always like, oh, people don't want Americans, or like, oh, there's so many tourists around here. It's really easy to be like, oh, tourists, but tourists also drive their economy as well. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to be like, hey, you're here. Let's share our culture with you, and so it's just great. I love that.
Yeah. I have a friend. So one of my friends who actually is from England, he married an American when he was in the, so it's funny. He was actually at the Air Force base that you're at, Matt.
Oh wow.
For a year, he did. They had his tornado squad was there back in the uh,
Well, the old
you know,
tornadoes. I've filled up
yeah.
those planes before. Yep. I've
So
worked
he,
with those planes.
yeah, so he was his squadron was there in Mount Home doing some training exercises, and he would come to Boise. He met his wife, and he went back to England, got out of the Royal Air Force, and married her, and came back to the States. And then he started working for my company. We became friends. Well, he just transferred to Ireland this year, and so I messaged him yesterday. I said, hey, let me know if in Ireland they celebrate St. Patrick's Day as wildly as we do. And then he sent right back. He said he sent a picture of himself dressed up in all this garb, saying, "Oh yeah, it's a big deal here as well." And he's just getting ready to go to the parade and then go to the Dublin Football Club to do some partying. So it is celebrated in Ireland as well.
Oh wow.
Right.
Pretty
I
big.
know. I mean, a few decades ago it was more a religious holiday, but I've heard they've embraced it because of the tourism, and now they're running with it and having more fun than us.
Yeah.
So that was smart.
It was, yeah.
Right. We got anything else? So we do have a little video. If you guys have nothing else to add on Ireland and Dublin, if Jay just lets us know when he's ready to fire up that video on how to make Bailey's frosting.
Let's go check it out. Some Bailey's frosting by Lauren. it looks tasty.
Here's your step-by-step guide on making Bailey's frosting. You can use whatever cupcakes you want. I just use it as a box mix because I'm not the best at baking. But next year I'm going to go for some Guinness cupcakes. So you need 1 cup of unsalted softened butter, not melted. You need 3 cups of powdered sugar, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt,
Lauren?
1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and 3 to 4 tablespoons of Bailey's. But first, you got to pour yourself a beer. And if you're making Bailey's cupcakes, you got to have a Guinness. Then you mix up some of the butter on like a low setting, and then you add the powdered sugar in there, but don't do what I did and spill the powdered sugar everywhere. Then you add your Bailey's and you sprinkle your salt in there and your vanilla extract, and you just keep whipping it up until it looks like frosting. And it tastes even better than it looks. Cheers, Slanche. It's weird to watch that without sound.
Oh,
Yeah, it is. I just had to jump on here real quick. I'm over here sulking. I've already drank. I had a drink earlier, and I'm drinking. I believe this is one of Micah's. Grin's Casket by Bassig City.
Oh, yeah, you sent us some of that too. Or
I'm pretty Basig. I don't think it's a C. I don't know. I can barely see as it is. But I'm over here sulking tonight. I'm enjoying Lauren running the show for the past couple of weeks. This is a tasty one, Micah. We were talking about big imperial stouts and all the stuff that they put in them. This has got a list of adjuncts. It's pretty lengthy, but another great stout. Hanging out at the beach, got my Geeks. Go check out some Geek merchandise. Got my Geek shades on because they're green. Lauren is killing it. Lauren is definitely killing it tonight. Great to talk to Denny and hear his story. I'm definitely envious of Denny's room and his trip to Ireland for sure. That's a bucket list trip that we keep having to re-add to the bucket list because it was very real at one point, and then we had another kid, and kind of set us back on the bucket list thing. So definitely envious of you, Denny. You got it sounds like you got a great show. I'm definitely going to check out your show, listen to that, and hopefully you guys are doing it and killing it over there. You got to be getting some attention with that backdrop. But trips to Ireland are always fascinating to hear, because I think everybody's mileage varies, right? Like you hear the good stories, but then you hear the ones that's like, man, it rained every day we were there, didn't do nothing but hang out in the same pub. But it's great to hear your story. And, your story kind of starts off the same, right? Like I really didn't want to go because of the rain and everything I've heard and everything else like that. But great to hear a good success story come out of it. Makes me want to do it even more for sure. Appreciate you joining us tonight, Denny.
Yeah. No problem, Jay. Thank you.
I'll kick it back over to Lauren. Let her take her show and continue to drive on. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Great to see everybody in the chat. And St. Patrick's Day. There's always worse days to celebrate by doing a live stream for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's much more comfortable to do it at home than in a bar. I feel like I've never properly celebrated St. Patrick's Day because it's just such a shit show.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's nice to go out during the day and do something. But at night, but yeah, we're close to wrapping up. So I guess we can go around and do a little bit of parting shots. Like I mentioned before, hopsnews.beer. I put all those Disney articles up there. If you're going to Epcot anytime before July 4th, I got all the craft beers you can find at Epcot for the Flower and Garden Festival. And if you want to see what some of the offerings have been for the past festivals, Ivanhoe Brewing has been a past guest, Central 28's been a past guest, and you can find their beer over at Epcot. And I'm heading to Tampa this weekend, so I'll probably do a Tampa video. I have not made my St. Augustine beer video yet because I've been doing all these damn Disney ones. And for the geeks, I did get to see the voice of Ahsoka Tano this morning at Downtown Disney or Disney Springs.
Ashley Eckstein. She has a name.
I was about to say her name, but she was awesome. It was like a MegaCon panel. So I got a little bit of footage. I mainly took notes because my 4-year-old could not sit still at all. But it was still really cool. She was awesome. So I'll definitely be putting an article together for that. And that's about all I got. And then I'll let Matt tell you what we can hear from the geeks.
Sadness, pain,
Okay,
darkness.
back to me.
No. So we just had 2 episodes come out this week. First was our 100th episode, which it's crazy to think that we've been doing this for that long, but this podcast itself is 2 years old, coming up at the end of April. So that's pretty exciting. And then we have some exciting things. We have Heather Antos, who is a senior editor at IDW Comics, Marvel, Star Wars. She's worked on some really big stuff. So she's going to be coming on, or well, we interviewed her already. It's going to be coming out next week. And we have a new segment coming out for the geeks. Not really a new segment, but we kind of decided to call kind of a bonus episode where we have creators come on and, you know, they pitch their comic books. They talk about their comic books, talk about the things they're working on. We're going to call it the Bullpen, kind of a throwback retro to old school Marvel. And so we're going to call it the Bullpen. So once in a while, like the next couple of weeks, we have a couple of really awesome creators who sat down with us to talk about their comic books. Look for those bonus episodes. And then on Tuesday, yeah, I go to San Antonio, Texas for a month. So I have talked to Marcus from Weathered Souls. You might remember him. He was one of our first guests on this show. Well, I have talked to him, and we are going to sit down and do an interview together. I'll either live stream it or at least record it and put it out to all the channels. So I'm really excited that because he did he started the Black is Beautiful movement, which is a really massive movement. So it's going to be really great to talk to him. And yeah, that's kind of all we have going on.
There you have it.
And Denny, parting shots, and what do we have to look forward to from the craft? What's the full name of your podcast?
Yeah, I never mentioned it. It's Tap the Craft.
Tap the Craft. So what's the parting shots, and what do we have to look forward to from Tap the Craft?
For one thing, I just want to. I saw that. Well, he's probably gone now, but one of our listeners actually joined us on Facebook during the stream. So I just want to shout out Eric Gronley. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, I saw him.
Still there. Yeah, he's one of our great listeners out of Minnesota. Very active in our community. But yeah, I encourage everyone that if you do want to learn a little bit more about craft beer. And dive down into some styles, some tasting. We do some tasting notes every so often. It's always focused around, beer schooling. We don't really talk much about news. Every so often we'll cover an article, but I have a pet peeve. I don't like top 10 articles because I think they're all BS.
Oh, they're so subjective, and you didn't try every beer in the entire world. So how do you know?
Yeah. So people like to throw us articles to talk about just to spin me up. And sometimes I'll play to it just because people like to see that. But yeah, tapthecraft.com. If you want to visit the website, we do have some YouTube videos, but it takes so much time to create those videos. But I have a couple good ones. I do enjoy watching Lauren's videos of her making different little beer things, and that Bailey's was nice that she made it. I do want to say the Irish coffees in Ireland are fantastic. Every morning I would get a little buzz going with an Irish coffee, which is good. But yeah, you can find our show, join our community. Like I said, we have a great community, and we'll welcome you in.
Awesome. I think we got a crew shot here. Yeah. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Hops News. You can find us obviously anywhere at Hops News on social medias and all the podcast platforms. Geeks are killing it. We've had some great episodes with Lauren anchoring for us the past couple of weeks. So we're going to continue this Lauren hosting trend for the next at least week or two, I think. So, but maybe we'll talk her into continuing. This is obviously, as people probably don't know from our chats, something we've talked about probably all the way back to the beginning days of Lauren needs to get set up to do some live shows and to do her own episodes because she's so ingrained down there in Florida in the beer scene, and obviously some fantastic breweries down there to get involved with. But good good to see her taking the anchor of the show the past couple of weeks. It's been fun. It's been real nice just to sit back and drink beer and push buttons. So appreciate Lauren handling that. Matt, good luck on your travels, man. There's definitely worse places to go than San Antonio and Austin, Texas area.
Hey, I'll have my laptop. I'm gonna be on weekly still. I'm not dying now. I'm not disappearing.
We're not getting rid of him.
Yeah, we didn't figure we'd get ready.
I'm not that easy. Although I might be dying. Who knows?
All right, Lauren, we'll take it to Lauren, and she can wrap it up with her last parting shots, and we'll take it from there.
That's pretty much it. So last week we had Jenny from Design Build on, and I got to try the beer we talked about. She had said that they did a collab with Ellipsis Brewing, and it was an IPA. I got to try it. It was fantastic. And, of course, David, one of the brewer at Design Build, and one of the guys that works at Ellipsis that they did the collab, they're like, oh, it's aged. It's not that good. It was still fantastic. So we're definitely going to have the Design Build crew on in the future. I mean, David even mentioned, like, all of us having the beer and tasting the beer and getting to talk about the beer. So I look forward to having them on. Might even need to get Ellipsis on at one point as well. And outside of that, just happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I hope you wear your green and drink your Guinness or your Irish dry reds or whatever you got that's Irish themed. And cheers and slanche. How do you say it, Denny? Am I saying it right? It's
You're just gonna say salute?
No.
You know what? I say cheers, and because I also go to Israel a lot, so I say l'chaim.
L'chaim,
So,
yeah.
you want to do that one?
Well, my husband's Jewish, so we do the l'chaim a lot.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten anybody, because I know it's Slainte in Ireland, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So we need to get Brewwitch back on. She would know.
She definitely
Yes,
would.
we do. We need her.
All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great night. Drink safe, and make sure you're wearing your green. Yeah, Uber. Definitely Uber.
Uber.
Oh,
Uber or
and
what?
The weekend of July 16th, Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
Be there,
yes.
B Square, Common
Oh,
Brewing, we have a
Yes.
brew day.
Hopefully plane
We booked
tickets
our
come down from
non-refundable
$600. Jesus.
That's a little bit of a drive from Idaho.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know
not gonna
how I'm
make
going
it,
to be
sorry.
getting there. If it's $600 right now, so I don't know.
All right, July 16th. It's going to be a good time in Common Law. Those guys are doing good stuff over there already. It's looks like they're having a great time. Hate that we haven't been there yet, but we'll be there on the 16th.
Yeah,
All right, folks, have a great St. Patrick's Day evening, and don't forget to take your happy hour vitamins, because it's St.
Yes.
Patrick's Day. You're going to feel like dog shit in the morning if you don't. So
I already
Take-
passed mine for Tampa.
yeah, take your happy hour vitamins, and have a great night. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Denny, appreciate you, man. Hope we can get you back on again.
Of course.
Yeah.
As long as I didn't talk too much.
No,
that was a
hell,
pleasure,
that's
man.
the name
Thanks
of the
for joining
game, man. It's hard for us to find 59 minutes of conversation sometimes. So, yeah, appreciate you coming on. All right, folks, have a great St. Patrick's Day and be safe.
Peace.
Cheers.
Great episode. Great episode. There's that Guinness can. I meant to stop and get a Guinness on the way home from work today, and I completely forgot all about it. But I was the only one in the office that didn't have green on either, so
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
dangerous.
yeah.
So,
That's
Right
so
on.
Jay, I was stationed at Virginia Beach in the late 90s or 80s, late 90s. Or
Yeah,
80s.
when you said Navy, I kind of figured it's a pretty, as you know, it's a pretty big presence out here. So I think just about everybody that's spent any time in the Navy has probably been through here a time or two.
Yeah, so I was actually at Damnick base there with in Va Beach, and I loved it because you could drink on the beach, open container without any issue. So
Yeah.
it doesn't